fearless. You mentioned that, often people have this home that's the safe haven. And because I didn't necessarily have that when I was younger, I was fortunate to have my mom break us out of that environment. And then I had this great stepfather who built a solid foundation later in life. But traveling actually felt safe, right? Because if I was afraid of my own home, I could go anywhere and I actually felt safer. So I've traveled the world solo, I travel with friends as well, but that's one of the gifts I really see as, coming from the situation. Some of the harder things that I work through on a daily basis are trust. I have um I've had a hard time, letting people into my life. I've been uber independent, so I don't put myself in any vulnerable situations. And listen, that's hard to be a partner with. When somebody wants to love you and do things for you, and I don't let them in. I've softened over the years, but there's still some edges there that I'm working on. And the latest discovery with trust is not necessarily putting the trust on somebody else, but more putting it on myself. And so trusting my intuition and trusting that I will know when I need to get out of a situation has really, really helped me. But it's taken me years to come to that revelation. And yeah, so many more, like I also find a lot of compassion. So, driving by homeless people, I will often stop and connect with them. Not always giving them money, sometimes giving them money, but more just to help them feel seen and heard because they remind me of my dad in so many ways and they're somebody else's family. So there's so many effects. I could probably talk for days, but yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I didn't grow up in with someone, well, who really knows, right? Like you don't really know someone is going through something until maybe it may be diagnosed. And I was not in a position as a child to do so. But to your point, if I look back on my childhood and look at my mother, my father, who I didn't grow up with, I'm like you in a lot of ways as an adult, where I travel and I do a lot of road trips, as I shared, and things of that nature. And one thing I found was one of the reasons why I did that is because when I was going to all these beautiful places, it was my way of creating memories that could maybe help replace the bad ones that I had. So I was like finding different types of love in all these different places. So when I went to Bali, when I went to Panama, when I drove through the States, I was in control of my environment, where maybe as a child I didn't have that much control and the memories were more dependent on everyone around me, versus when I go on these road trips or these vacations, it's my itinerary, it's the people I want to be around, and it's 100% within my control. Is that one of the benefits that you saw when you're doing these vacations, these trips, where you're creating all these memories, you're seeing all these beautiful places, and you are finding more about yourself when you go out there?
I love what you just shared. I had never thought about it that way. And that makes so much sense. I just kept filling my bucket with good things. And that you just gave me a huge aha. So I appreciate that. Yeah. The other reason I found traveling to be so beneficial for me too is one of the patterns I developed living in that environment was people pleasing. I was always trying to figure out what to do, how to be perfect, and how to make sure I didn't upset the apple cart. And what I realized after many years is I had lost my own voice because I had always been trying to make everybody else happy. And so traveling especially solo, was a way for me to find myself again because I had to be the one to choose what restaurant we were going to. I didn't have to look for anybody's approval or try to make sure everybody else was happy. And so that was another beautiful part of traveling for me. And also a little bit of an escape mechanism. Some people use drugs and alcohol and social media and, you name it, and I have no judgments of anybody because we do numb ourselves out because things can be hard. Our emotions can be uncomfortable, and I just happen to choose one that looks really great on social media and is great dinner party stories, but it also is a way to just escape and, yeah. And now that I've healed a little bit more, I use it less as an escape mechanism and more as just adventure and discovery, but it's still there. If I'm having a rough go, something's happening, my instinct is, "Let me run away." And that's okay. Like, it's okay to have coping mechanisms, I think. We're human.
Yeah, when I was able to, once I owned my first car and I got my license, I'm like, I am free, right? Like, this is, I think the only better type of freedom is having your own jet with like unlimited
That's next.
fuel.